off this road anyway. It's just that you might feel a bit safer if somebody's been through it already.
In fact, the tricky conditions delayed the event briefly when an official marshal's vehicle became stuck on a stage. Of course, a rally is not just about the frontrunners. Further down the field, Grobelaar and Van Wyk were having a reasonable run in their A7 Polo, although they would ultimately drop out after day one. Also in an A7 Polo was rally stalwart Tony Ball, navigated here by Dean Riedlinghuis. They would eventually gain a top 10 placing. And this is the Class A6 Corolla of Craig Trott and Gerard Snyman, followed by the A7 Polo of Coleman and Koch. The Subaru contingent has grown in 2002. This is Paul Riley and Megan Stowe. The only Renault in the event, the private entry of Ferdy Kukamura and Richard Clark, unfortunately came to an untimely end early on. They were going nowhere after falling victim to the slippery conditions and burying the car in a deep ditch. Meanwhile, Kuhn and company were still waiting for the marshal's vehicle to be removed.
You know that you can start now, and that there is an obstruction.
But soon the action resumed. Damso and Hodgson in the Castrol Toyota, refreshed after the break and still without the rumoured walking sticks, headed off into stage 4. They knew a good performance was needed to make it the time on Kuhn and Gemmel. Volkswagen's Habich and Judd, the reigning South African rally champions, were in exactly the same situation. Here we're in car with the Golf pair, and as you can see, mud, glorious mud, was still the order of the day. Now watch Habich work, and you'll note that high levels of concentration and fitness are important if you're to succeed at this level. Posting a quick time through a stage is a carefully orchestrated ballet involving driver, navigator and car. Habich and Judd have a long history of top-level success together, having won the championship in 1997 and 99, as well as last year. Here, Gemmel and Paisley in the Subaru are on their way to an excellent time on the same stage. The wrong slot we saw earlier didn't affect their overall time too much or damage their confidence. Etienne Lorenz in the Corolla, who is having his first season in Class A7 after being very successful in A6, was posting a stage time equal to Habich's. No mean feat. A Team Total Toyota driver who's still in Class A6 is JP Damso, son of Serge. Also regarded as a likely up-and-comer, many rally pundits feel this is the season in which he will show his true potential. Sugarcane and still more sugarcane. It's enough to cure you of ever having sugar in your coffee again. And here JP gets a bit too close to the menacing green curtain for comfort. Damso and Hooper finished second in Class A6 last season behind teammate Etienne Lorenz. Here on stage 4, they posted only the 10th fastest time, their cause not being helped by the loss of precious seconds in the foray into the sugarcane. The other Class N4 four-wheel drive car in the top 10 belongs to Western Cape-based Fernando Rueda. He was going well, as was Cliffy Blackman in the top car BMW. This is the only BMW currently competing in the National Rally Championship. The start of stage 6, and with nightfall approaching, the cars were now sporting a row of serious-looking spotlights, almost capable of turning night into day. Fortunately for the crew, the narrow tracks between the sugarcane had now given way to more open terrain, making driving and visibility easier. On this stage, Fecken put pedal to the metal, taking 28 seconds off arch rival Etienne Lorenz and even bettering Habich and Gemmel's times. The final stage of day one took the rally back to the Gateway Shopping Centre for a crowd-pleasing stage in the parking lot. Jannie Habich had obviously enjoyed a good day's rallying, even greeting the camera crew with a smile and a joke. And here's how things looked at the end of day one. The two Golfs leading, but the top four all within touching distance of each other. In the A7 battle, just 1 second separates Fecken from Lorenz. It dawned clear and dry.
It was a fantastic day yesterday, leading the rally by quite a close margin. In fact, everybody's a close margin, and it's going to be out of a day today.
No, there's not much in it, so I see it's dried up today. It's going to be a hot day, and of course different tires and different approach to the event. Running in the front has got its pros and cons. You know, I'm going to sweep the road for the rest of the guys, but I'll be driving on my own line, so it's probably a bit of help in that.
But you can expect the dice to continue all the way to the end, probably.
It'll be quite hot. I don't know what Damso did yesterday, but I think knowing him, he'll come with a late charge today.
Well, it was a fantastic drive. Keep it up.
Thank you. See you there.
Sorrel, start of day two, we had 8 very interesting stages yesterday, some close fought rallying, and here we are starting off with a bit of controversy.
I think it was some of the most exciting rallying we've had in recent years. You know, 4 cars within 45 seconds and dicing for the lead on every stage. It was really exciting stuff. What has happened now is that Damso's picked up a penalty of 20 seconds. Now, the only way you can do that is by clocking in late. I think it might be a scoring error, because if he had clocked in late, he would obviously have dropped into somebody else's time behind him. The cars running 2 minutes apart. So whether it was in fact a navigating error or a scoring error, we'll have to find out a bit later. But he's certainly a bit upset about it this morning, as you can understand. What also transpired is on the very last stage last night, he lost 20 seconds to the rest of to the other top runners. But I think that was planned, in the sense that I think he maybe drove a bit slowly in the last stage because he was leading then, and he maybe wanted to drop back a bit so he didn't have to run first on the road this morning. Whether that actually backfired into this 20-second thing is open to debate at this point in time, but they're certainly trying to clear it up as soon as possible.
And talking of time penalties, there was quite a bit of discussion yesterday as well as to whether Enzo Kuhn would actually incur a time penalty. Just to tell us a little bit about that.
What happened to Enzo was, on the very first stage yesterday morning, he turned a bit short on the one corner, went through the bunting, but went on the inside of the flying finish. In other words, he didn't cross the flying finish. Now, the feeling is that there wasn't any time penalty to be given. In fact, the clerk of the course said there's no time penalty. All that could be done was the exclusion. Enzo did get a time from the marshal, though. So that is a bit of a contentious issue as well, and we might still see a protest at the end of the day.
Yesterday we had quite a bit of discussion about the weather. It was muddy, wet. Now today it looks bright clear. What are the implications?
I think with it being dry today, or not as wet, we saw it in the last few stages yesterday that the A8 cars were getting away from Gemmel a bit. You know, whereas he was winning stages earlier on in the day, he was just a few seconds behind this time. So I think the dry conditions is probably suiting the A8s. But what it's also going to do is tyre choice becomes critical again, because there's some new Dunlop tyres on the market. I know Enzo has some of them. Habich didn't like them, but everybody says the tyres are quicker, so we're going to have to see this morning. But certainly I think the rally is going to speed up a bit because of the dry conditions, and it might just work against Gemmel.
At this point, are you willing to make some kind of prediction as to who's going to come out top?
I think Enzo seems to be pretty much in control of things. He was very quick yesterday. On the other hand, our bigs seemed to be battling a bit, maybe overdriving a bit. In the few places we saw him, he was really trying very hard and getting very sideways, maybe losing a few seconds here and there. So I wouldn't like to guess at anything, because I think Serge is also going to go very quick today. And then, of course, the Class A7 battle between Etienne Lourens and Ergen Vekken, that's something else. I mean, there's 1 second between the two after the first 8, and that's going to be a humdinger all day long. So I think we're in for a fantastic day's rallying.